Janet.
I have a question. All of those options there were for officers of the club.
Yes.
Or of any club. Can you make a member, like say for instance, well, in our dynamic diners, we've got a young person who's very tech savvy, and we sort of feel that we need to do something to retain him there, and this might be an option to actually include him in having access to do that. Is just a thought that I have. So does it have to be a registered officer to actually take those, to be an admin, or can you bring in a member?
I'm not 100% sure about that. I know that what you call an officer on Free Toast Toast and what you call an officer in TI are not necessarily one and the same thing. And that can be very handy when you're coming up to changeover and you want to set up new offices for next year. There is an option for other officer, but I'm not sure off the top of my head whether you can actually, or what you can assign them. I'd have to play with it and see. And I don't know whether this is the right time to try and do that. I tend to suck at multitasking, so one thing at a time.
We don't really want to try to extend this workshop over 2 hours unless everybody's so hugely engaged. But thank you, Janet. Good question. I suppose by agreement of the executive, you could make this person the site administrator, but they would also have to know a fair bit about Toastmasters. So they probably need to have some sort of shadow in there to handle the Toastmasters side as opposed to the tech side. But you could make them, for example, your other officer, you could make them a webmaster, and then see what you could do with a webmaster. And this is a great way to say, tell you what, why don't you go and have a look at the discussion forums, because you can do that, anybody can do that, and see what you can actually do and what you would like to do. And by the way, you can make that a Pathways project, because you can't come back and talk about it. Helen, did you have a question?
Yeah, we have a site administrator, and then we have other people with access. They're not necessarily an officer. Like I haven't been an officer at some stage, and our site administrator isn't an officer in the club. So I don't know how that's set up. I'd have to have a look, but no, we don't. It's just someone that's been a member for a while, basically.
One thing I would say is that it's worthwhile checking each June, because all of this in terms of who are your officers is done under membership management, which we'll cover under the admin section. And if that's a few years out of date, then what your officers can do is going to be a few years out of date, and who can do it. So this is just in the same way as you renovate all your officer positions at TI, you need to do it in Free Toast Host. It's only a couple of minutes work, but it's one of those little tasks that if it's not done, it can be confusing 3 or 4 years down the track. As you saw that when I put up that brief roster, some of the more observant of you might have noted that was from 2014. So we haven't used that in a while. And it's quite possible that your membership management goes the same way if you don't get the basics behind Free Toast Toast. Any more questions before we move into the site administration, or are we about ready for a break? Because this was a bit fluid between the two. Ashley's ready for a break. Well, we can continue a general discussion. I'm certainly going to get myself another cup of tea. So why don't we have a few minutes break and refresh our voices and come back about 10:20. By the way, it's looking like this might extend a little bit if we're going to cover templates properly. So maybe we finish at 11:15 rather than 11 o'clock. But hopefully you found what we've done so far valuable enough that it's worthwhile sticking with it.